So why are apartments so f***ing expensive right now in Medellin? This is a question that we are going to answer today. I remember when I first arrived to Medellin, Colombia 3 years ago, things were very, very cheap. I think at that point, Medellin was still kind of under the radar. A lot of people didn't know about it yet. And I remember you can get a 2-bedroom apartment in Poblado on Airbnb for like $700 a month. You could have got some nicer apartments in Artlist for like $300, $400 a month. It was a really good time to live. Over the last 3 years, Medellin has changed a lot. It has become an extremely popular destination just to live for digital nomads, but it's slowly evolved into the sex tourism capital of Latin America. As a result, you have a heavy saturation of the market of people who are looking to come here for a short period of time. And if you're an Airbnb owner, you know that renting out for short periods of time is the best bang for your buck. As a foreigner trying to get an unfurnished apartment, buying all the furniture yourself is just extremely complicated. And especially if you don't know Spanish, people will just rather choose to rent a furnished apartment. Medellin has a really interesting charm because for a lot of people, they go to the city once, and then after that one time, they're like, oh my God, this is the best city ever. They want to drop everything they have at home and move there right away. But a little known fact is that 90% of expats who move to Colombia end up moving back to their home countries because of a lot of reasons. For starters, usually it doesn't meet their expectations. A lot of times they have bad experiences with women and they get played, they get robbed, they potentially get drugged. A lot of times, if you spend enough time here, you will eventually get robbed just because the cultures are so different and a lot of Americans don't know what to expect when they come here. So today I want to talk about why the prices are so expensive. What are my thoughts for how the future is going to look? Is it eventually going to stabilize or is it continue to get out of control? So one of my favorite pastimes is browsing the Medellin expats page. It is the cringiest Facebook page you have ever seen in your life because all the people there, all they want to do is argue, complain about rent prices, and having a competition to see who can be the best gringo. Even I know 90% of them don't even speak Spanish. Lately, there have been a lot of posts for apartments on there, and it makes sense. As a real estate company, where are the expats? They're gonna go in the Medellin expats group, right? But if you look at the comments, 90% of them are just gringos complaining about every little thing. So here's my opinion on gringo prices. I don't believe you deserve to get local prices if you don't speak the language. If you're a gringo and you have no idea what the culture is about, you can't negotiate for yourself, how do you expect that you deserve the prices that the locals get? I don't think that makes any sense. So every time I see these people complaining about gringo prices, everything is so expensive right now, the people that you have to blame are the gringos who don't want to assimilate to the culture. For example, my story is a lot different because, I got stuck from the pandemic, I learned the language, I'm married, all those things. But if you're a foreigner who travels a lot and you just want to come to Medellin for a month, 2 months, I would just rather pay the premium for the convenience than deal with all the headache of like working with a real estate agency, renting an unfurnished apartment, buying everything. Like it's just too much of a pain in the butt. And as long as there is a market for it and people who will pay those prices, of course it makes sense for the owners of Airbnbs to charge those prices. The women, the weather, the ease of access to the US, the time zones, how many things to do there. The cost of living is still a lot cheaper than the US. So of course there's a lot of interest in people wanting to move to Medellin. There's a really beautiful city within a really amazing culture. Foreigners find out about it, gets gentrified, and then places like Bali, Bangkok, the Philippines, and now Medellin become overrun with tourists and everything gets expensive again. And it's not the expats who complain that dictate the prices. It's the market. What is going to happen in the future? In my humble opinion, I think the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be the same or continue to grow. However, unless Colombia decides to do something about the safety and all of these murders and druggings that are happening, I think over time, people will choose to go to places like Bangkok or Amsterdam or the Philippines because you can find a lot of these same things, but it's a lot safer. Also, I think as more people decide to live here for an extended period of time, more people are going to realize all of the problems that Colombia has as a country. And I think that a lot of them will decide to leave because of the bureaucracy, the safety, all these other things that I've talked about in my videos. I do think prices will eventually stabilize. There's no way that Medellin can handle this type of growth, but this is why I believe that investing in Medellin right now is a really good step. Prices still haven't gone out of hand yet. Rent prices are continuing to increase. You can still get a really good property, 150K, 180K, charge $2,000 rent on that. So you're getting an 8 to 10% return on investment every single year. Obviously, I'm in the real estate circles and a lot of people keep talking about this. If you look at places like Laureles, Sabaneta, and there's a lot of infrastructural growth happening as well, the value of real estate there is also going to increase within the next 3 to 5 years. If you guys are looking to buy real estate here, I highly recommend buying my real estate course. I talk with real estate agents and they tell me what are the best ways to invest. some growing areas in the future, investing in Bogota versus investing in Medellin. If you just want to get in contact with my realtor friend who can help you, or if you want to set up in consultation with me, shoot me an email or DM me here on Instagram. But if you don't want any of those things, I have a free travel guide to Medellin talking about the best neighborhoods, the best places to eat, how to arrive from the airport, everything that you need to know, and that's free. And all you got to do is sign up down below. I do think that prices are eventually going to top out though, because if I'm being honest, the biggest draw for Medellin right now are two things: the cost of living and sex tourism. Cost of living is not what it once was. It's definitely more expensive now. It's nicer in the small cities like in Manizales or Armenia. The prices are still local prices. You can still get by on $1,000 a month, but that doesn't seem possible anymore in a city like Medellin. And I actually have conflicting opinions about sex tourism, right? I think it's just a product of Colombian culture. I don't judge it. I have nothing against it. I just wonder if it's going to prevent guys from coming in the future because of safety concerns. And if I'm being honest, I don't think so, because of the guys who are coming here for all those things, they don't really care about safety too much, which is why a lot of these guys end up in these bad situations anyways. A part of the draw before was because it was cheap sex tourism for some of the really, really hot women. But I've seen the quality over the last few years just walking around Lleras, right? It's gone down quite a bit and it's more expensive now. And if that scene increases, it will increase the real estate stuff. But if that scene goes down, I think real estate will also be affected. If you are looking to live in a smaller city though, it's very hard to move to those places without knowing anybody or knowing the language. My course definitely will help you on that, because I talk about how to find an apartment, which cities to go. I do a detailed breakdown of all of the cities. If you are interested in that, I'll leave the information in the description and the pinned comment down below. You also have to be aware of this anti-gringo sentiment that is going around now. When I was in Medellin, I saw the signs everywhere, but I didn't think it was that bad. But I definitely think the sentiment is growing because the locals are now being priced out of rent because they can't even afford to live in their own city. I think a lot of locals are also sick of YouTubers coming down to Colombia, portraying Colombia in a certain way, glorifying the sexual tourism scene here. If you were a gringo maybe 5 to 10 years ago, it was novel. Over the last few years, the locals have now been accustomed to gringos, and unfortunately 90% of the men who come here looking for sexual tourism. They're kind of rude to the girls, meet women online, but a lot of times the men are sending them money. So the women here are getting a lot smarter and they're learning how to finesse men. Trying to come here to find a good woman, especially in Medellin, is almost impossible because you have to overcome this negative gringo stereotype. If I were a beautiful woman and I could just be with a gringo, talk with him, send him a couple of pictures, and then he will pay me in a day what I will make in 3 months, it makes sense that most women are going to do that, which is why a lot of Colombians are in that and Venezuelans are in that, because trying to make money down here in Colombia is extremely hard. So I understand it. If I were a thief, would I want to try to target Colombians in a Colombian barrio where a lot of times the barrio will protect their people? Or would I rather try to rob a foreigner who has no idea how to move in this country? A lot of times they don't speak the language, so trying to communicate with the police is very difficult. And thirdly, a lot of times they're only here for like a week or two. So if they lose something like a couple days before they leave for their flight, most of the times they're gonna maybe try to talk to the police, but they're gonna end up leaving anyways. Foreigners need to really watch their backs when they're walking around in Colombia. And the biggest thing is that, unfortunately for a lot of Colombians, when they see foreigners, all they think is money. If you make $1,000 or more a month here in Colombia, you're like in the top 10-20%. And that for us in the US, that's like below poverty, right? So even the poorest people in the US can come down here and live like a king. Taxi drivers, Colombians who own businesses, when they see a foreigner, they're gonna be like, okay, what can we do to take advantage of them? So if you imagine that's how it is with business, imagine how it's going to be with apartments, and imagine how it is on the streets. Going back to real estate, right? Are prices in Medellin gonna go down anytime soon? In my opinion, I do not think so. I think it's going to continue to grow to the point where it's ridiculous and eventually it will self-adjust. But there are just too many people that want to live there right now. The hype is continuing to grow. And with this whole entire passport bro, anti-Western woman sentiment right now, people think that women here in Colombia are better. I've talked about that several times. It's not better, it's just different. But you know, that's a topic for a different day. And as prices in Medellin continue to grow, I think people are eventually going to look to the other cities. Pereira, Manizales, Armenia, Bogota, even Cartagena, Santa Marta. There are so many beautiful cities in Colombia that have all the best things that we love about the country without all the touristy stuff that is happening in Cartagena and Medellin. This is where my Colombian course comes in. If you guys are looking to move here, it's gonna help you save so much time and stress. If you guys are interested in the course, I'll leave a special discount code for you guys down below. Or if you guys just want that free Medellin travel guide, I'm down below on my email list. You guys can get that guide and a bunch of really good information about the city. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.